The entire room froze. Laughter echoed across the luxury boutique as a tall, sharply dressed man turned toward the glass entrance. He tilted his sunglasses down and smirked, his tone loud and mocking. Someone lose their way to the flea market? Heads turned. Sales staff paused. A few awkward chuckles bubbled from the corner. Standing there in the doorway was a woman, older, maybe in her late 60s. Her outfit was plain and practical. A beige sweater, loose pants, and old brown shoes that had clearly seen years of wear. A faded cloth bag hung from her shoulder. Her gray hair was neatly tied back, and her face showed no irritation, no confusion. Just calm, quiet confidence. To the casual observer, she looked like someone who had wandered into the wrong store. But what no one knew, not yet, was that she was exactly where she meant to be. The man who had mocked her was Brandon Carrington, the heir to a billionaire family and the kind of man who believed money made him better than everyone else. Brandon wasn't just rich. He was loud about it. Expensive watch? Check. Flashy designer shoes? Check. And an ego bigger than the boutique's chandelier. This boutique, La Rue Paris, was one of the city's most exclusive. Appointments only, custom-fitted gowns, security on standby. And Brandon? He thought he ruled the place. But that day he made a mistake he would never forget. Brandon sauntered toward the woman with a theatrical groan, drawing attention from every direction. He stopped a few feet in front of her, arms crossed, smirking like a man who thought he was clever. "You know this isn't a yard sale, right?" he chuckled. "Unless you're here to clean the mirrors." Some of the sales associates giggled, unsure whether to laugh or hide. A few tried to avoid eye contact completely, clearly uncomfortable. The woman didn't move. She simply looked at Brandon, expression still soft, still composed. She gave a small nod, as if acknowledging his presence but not his insult. Brandon wasn't used to being ignored. He raised an eyebrow. "Well, cat got your tongue." Still, she said nothing. One of the younger salesgirls stepped forward, whispering, "Sir, please." Brandon held up a finger to silence her. "No, no. Let's hear what Miss Modesty has to say. Did you take a wrong turn on the way to the bus stop?" The woman calmly stepped past him and began browsing the racks. The air in the boutique grew thick. The customers, the clerks, even the manager, watched, torn between curiosity and disbelief. Who was this woman? Why wasn't she leaving? And why, despite everything Brandon was saying, did she still look like she was in control? Brandon scoffed and leaned on a nearby glass display. Maybe she just came in to look at how real clothes are supposed to be worn. The woman turned to a rack of silk scarves and delicately picked one up. "That's worth more than your monthly rent," Brandon said loudly, addressing the room more than her. She turned her head slightly and smiled. Not a fake smile, but one of amusement. Then, to everyone's shock, she walked up to the register with the scarf in hand. "I'd like to purchase this," she said softly. "And that entire wall of dresses." The cashier blinked. "All of them, ma'am?" "Yes, and please have them delivered." "I assume you still do home deliveries." Brandon burst out laughing. "You serious? You don't even have a credit card. You think you can afford even one of those dresses?" Without a word, she reached into her bag and pulled out something shiny, sleek and black. A titanium card. But not just any card. This was the kind of card issued only to ultra-high net worth individuals. No credit limit. No questions asked. A card that even billionaires whisper about. The room gasped. The cashier stood up straighter, voice suddenly full of respect. "Right away, ma'am." Brandon stopped laughing. The woman added quietly, "Please make sure to include your best-selling handbags too. I'll have them sent as gifts." Now everyone was staring. Who was she? Still stunned, the cashier politely asked, "Ma'am, could we have your name for delivery confirmation?" She reached into her bag once more and pulled out a crisp business card. She handed it over casually, as if it meant nothing. The manager read it aloud, eyes wide. "Margaret Lane, CEO, Lane Global Enterprises." A wave of shock passed through the room. Lane Global. The name was familiar. No, famous. They were one of the most powerful holding companies in the country, owning shares in tech giants, airlines, and most importantly, LaRue Paris itself. Yes, the very boutique Brandon thought he owned with his money. Margaret owned part of the brand. Brandon turned pale. Wait, Lane Global? As in, Lane Global. Margaret smiled. Oh good, you've heard of it. I didn't realize. You didn't care to, she said softly. You looked at my shoes, my sweater, my bag, and decided I didn't belong. But what you should have looked at was how I carried myself. That tells you more than labels ever could. The store manager stepped forward, nearly trembling. Mississippi Lane, please forgive us. If we'd known. There's nothing to forgive, she said kindly. But maybe next time you should treat every customer like they matter. Not just the ones wearing diamonds. Security appeared at the door, having received a quiet call from the staff. They looked to Margaret for direction. She glanced at Brandon and said gently, "Perhaps Mr. Carrington would like to shop somewhere more suited to his manners." The manager nodded. "Mr. Carrington, I'll have to ask you to leave." Brandon's face turned red. "This is insane." "No," Margaret said. "This is justice." Brandon stormed out of the boutique, eyes burning with embarrassment, leaving behind his false charm and shattered ego. Margaret finished her purchase, chatted briefly with the staff, and walked out just as calmly as she had entered. But by the time she got into her car, the incident had already hit social media. Multiple customers had filmed the exchange. The clips went viral fast. Within hours, the hashtag mocked the wrong woman was trending worldwide. People applauded her dignity, her calm, her class. And Brandon? He became the poster child for entitled arrogance. Memes flooded the internet. People shared the story with captions like, "This is why you never judge a book by its cover. Real wealth speaks softly," and carries a black titanium card. Later that week, Margaret was invited to speak at a women's leadership summit. She ended her speech with a powerful quote. "Wealth is not measured by what you wear. It's measured by how you treat those who have nothing to give you. Be kind, because one day the nobody you mocked might just be the person who owns the company you work for."